start the session. So, as Rammanohar sir has given you the introduction about the topic of what you mean by Arogyasamskriti and what are the different facets of Arogyasamskriti. Like, as he said, there are 4 facets to Arogyasamskriti. One is the planetary health, the other one is the mental and spiritual health, then comes the lifestyle, and then comes the diet. So, Arogyasamskriti is, as an aspect wherein all these 4 things come in, and only collectively you can have the goal of Arogyasamskriti. So that is why the mental and spiritual health has been dealt after explaining the planetary health. And yes, we will see what it means, what are the ideas of mental and spiritual health in our culture and all of those. So why is mental and spiritual health required at all? You would have had a good idea about it, right? Actually, sir has made my things, my work even more easier. So he has given a very good idea of why Arogyasamskriti is required and why mental and spiritual health is required. So when you talk about mental and spiritual health, what is the idea about it? And why am I saying this? So I'll tell you one thing. See, among the 4 facets of Arogyasamskriti, the mental and spiritual health holds a very significant importance. To just give you a small statistics of what or how mental health is affecting us. See, the recent survey by WHO has given that 1 among 8 people in the world are suffering from mental illnesses. So just imagine, even here, including me, there can be so many people who are suffering from mental health. Some or the other ways. We all have disorders with mental health. We all suffer with some or the other problems. Okay, so that's the statistics. That's the widespread, rampant disease. It has been, it is that we are dealing with. And it's about 970 million people world around who are suffering from, and this is the statistics until 2019. And you know what happened after COVID? Yeah, you all know that, right? The COVID has made a big change in our lifestyles, everything, and this mental health has been compromised to a very great extent even after COVID. So not 1 in 8, it may be even more than that. So that is the problem that we are having now. And the number of people with anxiety and depression has rose significantly, and the NMHS, the National Mental Health Survey, says, so if it was that there are prevalence of mental illnesses, it was okay. But the bigger problem is that there is a very big gap of the prevalence rate and the people being treated for mental illnesses. And this is biggest in mental illnesses. Can you even guess what is the percentage? It's about 83%. So 83% of the people who are suffering from mental illnesses are not seeking treatment. So this is the biggest gap. And for you people, I think there are more first year PG scholars here, right? So research gap. Okay. Yes. So people are not realizing that they have mental illnesses or they have some problems, and that's why they don't seek for help. People don't know what are the danger signs of mental health. What are the red flags of mental health? And because of that, people are silently suffering of some or the other disorders of mental health. And you know from our previous presentation that our culture was not that. Our culture was an Arogya conscious culture, wherein it had been very conscious about all of these red flags. And that is why all these ideas of health, be it mental health, be it physical health, be it anything, all of them was really spread through all our texts. So, and the problem is, if it was a physical health problem, it would affect only that person who is suffering from that illnesses. If there is a person suffering from fever or COVID or whatever, it's him. But mental health is not like that. If the other person is suffering, who is suffering the most? Who is with him or her? Is it not? It's not just that person. So that is the impact it makes. Still, 83% of the people are not getting treated for that. That is the problem. So, this is because the mental and spiritual health, form the, I told you already about this, that mental and spiritual health are the foundations upon which the lifestyle and diet is also. But yes, planetary health is an idea which is something above that, which already Sir spoke of. And only individuals with a balanced mental state of mind and a spiritual orientation can effectively manage their life and their food and lifestyle. See, if you are not healthy enough to even acknowledge that you need to have a good lifestyle, good food habits, then whatever it is, you won't put in effort to correct it, is it not? Mental people, they are not able to manage themselves. They are to be managed by others, is it not? Yes? So that is the problem with this particular mental and spiritual. If you're not oriented to it, then it's a big problem. And even modern medicine has reached a stage where, a healthy society requires not just cures, but it needs an effective prevention. Sir spoke about the goal of WHO and all, right? So now they have corrected themselves. And that is why the mental and spiritual health is crucial, and this orientation is very much required, and that is what is the biggest challenge that we face. So such individually typically have, so if you are oriented, what happens? Nobody needs to control you. They themselves are well oriented, they have clear goals in life that inspire and motivate themselves and others. If you see someone who is, having a very stable mental and physical health, a very good physical health, you would have seen examples, right? There's a person, there's a sadhu who is, I think, 115 or 116 years old. Have you heard of? He recently came here. I think a year ago or 1.5 years ago, he had visited ashram also. He's a yogi. He practices yoga. Even now he practices. He's, I think, the oldest person, at least in Asia or in India. Just looking at him, we get inspired, is it not? He's doing all his daily chores, even now, effectively. He doesn't need any support. He's independent. So that itself inspires us, is it not? So that is so it motivates themselves and others around, and it leads them to healthy habits, practices and culture. And unfortunately, we have forgotten our culture now, but we had a very rich tradition of this. So this principle was ingrained in our ethos, and it was evident across various treatises. I'll show you the examples from various treatises wherein our Indian knowledge systems had very clearly spoken about all these principles. And most profoundly, even in texts which were not even medical. In such textbooks you could find references which are not even told in Ayurveda. Like for example, can you give me an example of something that is not told in Ayurveda but told in some other shastras, which are very profound and very direct for health? Can you give me one example? Okay, tell me how many times should one, like we have a very detailed explanation about dinacharya, ritacharya and all, right? How many times should one person have a vega, malamutra visarjana? How many times should one person have food? Has this been mentioned anywhere in our textbooks? There is a reference from a non-Ayurvedic classical text which says Dvai mutri ta shan, Dvai purishi cha shan mutri. Dvai purishi cha shan mutri. So, in a day, a person is allowed, or in a normal living person, there are 2 Vegas generally happening for Purisha and Shan for 6 for Mutra, which is not there in Ayurveda. Just imagine. So this was the health culture that we are. I am talking about physical health. I am out of my topic, but I just gave you this example to give you a flavor of how it is. Okay. So let me tell you what is mental and spiritual health. You have known the problem now. We have made the problem statement now. Yeah? And now we are going into what it is. So what is mental and spiritual health? So mental health focuses on emotional and psychological well-being. The spiritual health encompasses deep sense of purpose and connection to the world around us. So both important aspects of holistic health contribute to the fulfilling and meaningful life. See, yes, I spoke about mental health a lot now. Yes, we need a psychologically stable mind. All of this I spoke about. I had not spoken about the spiritual. And see, we have misunderstood this term of spirituality very badly. We have got it very wrong, always. And this, especially especially at these times, even if you term something spiritual, gone. Is it not? If you say you are spiritual, you are, classified as something different. You don't even get accepted into certain societies, right? That's not the point. You should understand what is spirituality. Spirituality, nothing. It is just that you have a deep sense of responsibility to the world. And that's when you have a very clear, deep sense of purpose and connection to the world. If you have that, you are spiritual. That's all spirituality requires. And that's the purpose of spirituality. That's how spirituality actually came up. So just that, if you have reverence, you see everything, whatever is there in spirituality, all the rituals, all the prayers and everything, it's nothing but reverence, compassion for whatever you have got. And you have an empathy for others who have not got. It's from there that everything comes. And that's what is spiritual. But that's also required. But because if you are not spiritual, you will not have empathy. You will not think about others. That's when you take everything in your hands. You take law in your hands. You take everything in your hands, saying, and compromise it for your betterment, for selfish goals. Is it not? If you have that sense of responsibility, you wouldn't take things lightly. So, mental health encompasses how individuals think, feel, behave, handle, and relate and make choices of stress and other emotions. And it is important for coping up with life's challenges. Right? If you're not able to handle your stress, your emotions, well, the person sitting next to you is suffering the most because of it. Is it not? So it's required for everything, healthy relationships, achieving overall well-being, all things it is required. And spiritual health pertains to seeking purpose and meaning in life, nurturing inner peace, getting content with whatever you have, right? Having a purpose for everything, believe in values, follow religious practices, meditation, mindfulness. Even if that is not there, at least reverence to God, or even if you don't believe in God, reverence to nature. You cannot be different from nature, no, at least. Even if you are having that, that's enough to be spiritual. Even an atheist can become spiritual. Understand? So this is the profound idea of spirituality that our culture had. We even had, right? We even accepted Nastikas and Astikas. So there's no difference between, even they were living in the society. Is it not? So it's nothing wrong in that. It's their thinking. But at least have harmony in the society. That is what is required. So Indian knowledge systems, both medical and non-medical, they had very profound emphasis being given to mental and spiritual well-being, and you can find very evidently very unique deep insights about all of these even in non-medical texts, and that is why we call it as Arogya conscious, even Arogya consciously. So the mental health conditions is in a person not only affects them mentally, but also it takes its toll on physical well-being. Yes, you know that, right? Manasika vyadhis can turn into Sharirika vyadhis and vice versa. And as if anticipating this, our Shastras have been giving a very rich education about the mind and was very common in all the textbooks that are available, even in non-medical Sanskrit literature. So that's the all purpose about our IKS Arogyasamskriti component. Okay. So this everyone knows that Ayurvedic text categorizes diseases into Sharirika and Manasika, and the descriptions of Nidana, Rupa, Chikitsa of Manasika Vyadhis are well told in our Shastras. There's nothing big in it. All the aspects of the Chikitsa, everything is told. You know the Rupa, everything is mentioned. And there are references of the formation of mind during the prenatal period. The nature of mind and its afflictions are not, how it is manifested, right? The sthana, all of those we study in Padartha Vijnanam and Sharira Sthanam and all. Yes? But if you look at how it affects our body, are not that extensively told. I think it's the Charaka Samhita which speaks more about manas, right? So Shuddha, you get references of all this, but still Charaka stands apart in describing all of these. Still, you don't find much references of how the nature of mind is. All of these, all these shortcomings or gaps are filled by non-medical texts. That was the idea. And even in Ayurveda, you will not find a separate branch for psychology. But we use, like when you treat, you use psychology, Manasika, that department is there. But I am talking about the various treatment aspects of how you need to do the counseling, and all these things are not that deeply mentioned, is it not? But that is supported by non-medical texts. So, as far as the mental and spiritual health are concerned, to enhance treatment approaches, we greatly rely on these textbooks. We take the aspects of Bhagavad Gita. Every now and then we speak about Bhagavad Gita. Is it not? Not even Bhagavad Gita. We take glimpses from Ramayana, Mahabharata, so many Puranas, even Panchatantra stories we quote when you're doing. So all the help we can seek from these non-medical terms, non-medical texts when required for psychology. So just imagine how rich our culture was. So what insights do Indian knowledge systems offer about mental and spiritual health? That's the question. So let's see, I've just shown, like Sir showed, there was a long lineage of our texts from time to time which had this knowledge, which handled this knowledge system, and especially the non-medical texts, right from Vedas, you can see. So this is just a compilation. The total verses amounts to 71 now, as of now, and this is only our collection. And there is still a lot. I told you, we just looked at only 250 textbooks as of now, and still from that, you see, I can be very sure there are so many references in Vedas. I got only one from Rigveda and other Veda too. I have kept it minimal actually. Okay. Brahma Bindu Upanishad 1, Mandukya Upanishad 1. So you can see all the Vedangas having this knowledge. Right from Veda, Upanishad, Purana, Smriti, Itihasa, Tantra, Subhashita, Natya Shastra, Mahakavyas, Nataka Shastra, Kama Sutra, Kama Shastra, Niti Shastra, all of these. So you take any type of science, any type of Shastra, there is a reference about chemistry. And only 71 verses as of now. But we still have a lot. And I'm sure we will at least reach 250 to 300 minimum. I just want to, in my presentation today, I just want to give you a glimpse of what are the different, variety of information available, especially on mental and spiritual health. So this is a small representation of how, see, right from Veda, a timeline. That lineage, that continuity is still there. Right from the period of Veda, that continuity has been preserved. And initially it was in the what form? Verbal. And then only later, even then, all this was preserved. That is the beauty of our culture. So you can see all this timeline from the time period I have mentioned. And as and when I mention about different shlokas, I will also I'll give you some information about these texts also. Okay? So here is the overlay of topics on mental and spiritual. So you would like to know, you would be interested to know what are the different, I have spoken so much about mental and spiritual health, it is there. So what are the topics that are there? These are the topics. So control of mind and emotions, courage and strength, mental stability, emotional balance, inner peace, inner strength, emotional resilience, self-awareness, self-control, self-discipline, stress management, anxiety relief, anger management, positive thinking, mindfulness, concentration, clarity of mind, wisdom, tranquility, contentment, equanimity, detachment, self-empowerment, spiritual awakening, self-realization. What is not there? We just tried to categorize it into, we just took this whole pool of shlokas, we tried to categorize them into different aspects, and this is what we saw. You just tell me what is not covered of psychology in this. So that is why we are every now and then repeating that this was the health conscious culture that we had. So just a word cloud of all this. This is the word cloud that you get. I just plotted it in an app and got this. So this is how you get. So this is the spectrum of topics dealt on mental and spiritual health. And even these topics, now we can actually divide it into various umbrella terms. About 25 topics were there, and we can put it into these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 umbrella terms, and that is what is the holistic mental and spiritual. So it has talked about all facets of, all angles of mental and spiritual health at various levels. So I would call it as they are, topics at various levels of talking about mental and spiritual health. First is the basic level of handling emotions. So emotional and psychological well-being is told. Under that, emotional balance, emotional resilience, anxiety relief, anger management, positive thinking, stress management. only if you can manage your emotions, that's the first level. That's the level of well-being. Then you need to also have, how do you get there? By mental strength and control. So there are verses talking about that, how to get mental control, how to get inner strength, what is the self-control, what is called self-discipline, what's the importance of concentration. Then having got that, what happens? You are no longer dependent upon the external environment. Whatever happens outside, see, that is not there in your control. You don't know what will happen the next moment in your environment around. But you can always have a control on how composed you are. So that is about inner peace, tranquility, contentment, equanimity, detachment, all of that. Then you, how that happens by self-awareness. That's an elevated state of mind. It's not just the regular state of mind everyone has. You see things from a different perspective. Like we call it as Sakshi Bhava. This concept is there. You think, yeah, there are things happening around you. You are dealing with emotions. There is a change of emotions. Even in you, you are getting angry. You are getting sad. Everything is there. But the advantage that is happening here is that you are seeing your own emotions from a different perspective, which makes you realize that this is happening. Problem is that we don't even realize what is happening to our emotions, or what is the fuss that we are making with our emotions and handling people around. How we are handling people, we don't realize that. So this is an elevated state of mind wherein you have self-awareness of what is happening and there is a growth. There is mindfulness. Only when you have mindfulness, self-awareness, self-realization, empowerment, wisdom, only then you can have this thought at all. And ultimately, it's all about the resilience and stability. How stable you are emotionally and psychologically. So that's about it. So it talks about the courage, that's the output. Once you have stable mind, then you have courage, you have strength, emotional resilience. Even if you have had a very bad emotion or a very sad experience, you can come back. Mental stability, inner strength, all of this. So these are, I would say, different umbrella terms under which these topics are put. Or this is how I have put. Let me give you some examples. So emotional and psychological well-being. So this is the one topic. I'll start with the Veda here. I have not arranged it in the order of the Veda, Purana and all. They are all, jumbled up, but I'm dealing with the topics as such. Okay. So, Agnir Manasa Chikitsate, which means by the mind, the Agni is healed. And here, the Agni means the mental faculties. So the mental, that play a role in healing and maintaining health. So they had that insight that the mental faculties play a very important role in maintaining health. So it implies that mental equilibrium, positive thoughts contribute to the well-being. Then look, Dhriti Shanti Shama Satyam Dheeratvam Thairyamachavam Na Shokasya Avakashe Yatra Gunaha Kasya Kadachana. This is from Naishadhiya Charita. The first one was from Atharva Veda.
patience, peace, forgiveness, truth, courage, steadiness and simplicity. These virtues do not find space in a person who is overwhelmed with grief. So if you have grief, then these gunas will not come. So I'm just telling you, see Atharva Veda is a science, is one you all know, that is one among the four Vedas. And do you know how many textbooks or how many khandas are there in that Atharva Veda? No. It's approximately 20 khandas. Any idea how many mantras are there in that? 6,000. So it deals about healing and health, protection and warding off of evils, domestic rituals, philosophical and speculative hymns. And these were the actual topics still in Atharva Veda. But we can still find some topics related to health, that too mental health from Atharva Veda. That is the beauty. And look what a profound statement it has been made. Is it not? To give you an idea of Naishadhiya Charita, it is about it is an epic poem written by poet Sri Harsha, who was who narrates the story of King Nala and his beloved Damayanti, and it is based on the epic Mahabharata. So from Mahabharata, this Naishadhiya Charita has come up, and it mainly talks about the themes of love and devotion. And still, you can find glimpses of mental health here. That's the beauty. So there is also a deep, profound insight about human psychology and mental health being told in that. And the last verse, Annena dharite dedaha, kulam shilena dharite, prana mitrena dharite, krodha satyena dharite. So if you want to maintain the truth, if you want to, get over the krodha, then you have to practice truth. So this is a verse from Padma Purana, which is one of the largest of the 18 Mahapuranas. And any idea how many verses it has? Approximately 55,000, which is divided into 6 khandas, and it talks about many things like creation, the cosmology, geography of Earth, Bhugola, sacred places on Earth, about heaven, the stories of demons, description of legends. All of these are mentioned there, and it dates back to 1 to 6th century CE. And it still expanded until 14th century. So which means this Purana was being upgraded every now and then. It took a long time to get completed. That's why it is the biggest. Then, yes, this verse I think everyone would have seen. This shows you from where the anger arises. Very profound statement from Bhagavad Gita. I have minimized, I have kept minimal shloka. I think this is the only one verse that I have kept from Bhagavad Gita, but I couldn't avoid using this. Because this is how it states about, very clearly states about where anger comes from. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sandasteshu pajayate संगात संजायते कामः, कामात् क्रोधो विजायते, क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः, सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः, स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो, बुद्धिनाशात् प्रदर्श्यते. Such a profound statement, and it shows you how the anger, you can say the samprapti of krodha. This is the samprapti of krodha that you can get from Bhagavad Gita. So it is all about managing the senses. So once the indriyas are out of your control, then all this, it is just a cascade of evils that happen, and then you end up with pranashyati. Then there is a statement, and you know about Bhagavad Gita, right? Yes? How many verses from Bhagavad Gita? 700. And then there is something about Manusmriti. So, see, what do you know about Manusmriti? What textbook is it? Manusmriti talks about mainly it is actually a text speaking mainly about the ancient legal text and Dharma Shastra. It is a text of Dharma Shastra actually. And still you can find such a profound statement. Ahimsa, Satyam, Asteyam, Shaucham, Indriya Nigraha, Etesham Param, Dharmam, Manu, Vijnanam Uchyate. So it says non-violence, truth, all of these qualities, these are known as the highest Dharma. So, and that is what is Mano Vijnanam. So, whatever you deal with, all these things, Ahimsa, Satyam, Asteyam, Shaucham, that is what is Mano Vijnana. So, it's a definition about Mano Vijnana that you find in a text of Dharma Shastra. So, this emphasizes the importance of mental virtues, non-violence, and all these qualities, and it suggests cultivating a positive and attitude towards it, to cultivate it, to have a well-being in the society. Because law is based on dharma. Then we have reference from Bhagavata Purana for you. Swasthaya Chitta Samyoga Bhavanti Vyadhiyo Gunaha. The mind and body becomes diseased due to the contact of undesirable objects. So again it gives you a warning of Indriya Vishayas, how you can go and what can happen. So it gives you the highlight of the influences of the mind and associations, and suggests that mental well-being is characterized by positive thoughts, avoiding undesirable influences. Then, Chintaya jayate dukkham, nanyatha sukham apriyat, tasmad chintam parityajya, sukham sampadyate varaha. This is from Kadambari. Anyone knows Bhagavata Purana, you know of, right? Yes? And what is a unique feature of Bhagavata Purana that you can talk about? Or one unique feature you can tell? Bhagavata Purana? Devotional, correct? From which sect? There are, even in Hinduism, there are many traditions, right? Bhagavata Purana is a very important text of which tradition? Vaishnavas, Vaishnavism. So Vaishnavism, and how many verses? Approximately 18,000 verses. Okay. And again, it talks about mainly the Bhakti Marga, and that is why it speaks about the stories of Bhakti and especially deals with Krishna, Sri Krishna, devotion. And look at Kadambari now. Kadambari is a text on, or it is a classical what? Kadambari is a, yes, it is a love story, it is a novel written by Vagbhata. Even in such novels you get such deep insights of mental health. Nowadays, do you find anything in Grey's Anatomy? Yes, imagine. Grey's Anatomy or MacLeod's, or take anything. Do you get anything about mental health or spiritual health or anything for prevention? No, you won't. Now, this is the difference between our Shastras, and that's why we call it as Arogya. Look what has been stated in Kadambari. Chintaya jayate dukkham nanitha sukham apnuya tasmat chintan parityajya sukham sambattadena. Worry generates sorrow, and without it, happiness is unattainable. Very clearly stated. Therefore, abandon the worry, and person immediately gets happiness. Because yes, happiness is also a decision, as Amma says. Right? Manasasya param dukkham na shariram kadachana manohi santita dukkham armanyapyasya pidaya. This is from Kumara Sambhava. What is Kumara Sambhava? Sir spoke about Kumara Sambhava. It is? Yes, it is one among the Mahakavyas. It is one among the Mahakavyas written by this great saint, great poet, Kalidasa. And what are the other works of Kalidasa you can mention of? Meghaduta, Shakuntala. Right? Yes, very good. And Kumara Sambhava, the name has come from, Kumara means Skanda. Skanda means Subramanya. So this is the story of Subramanya, or the birth of Subramanya. It deals with. And there is an elaborate description and use of metaphors. That is the beauty. So Kumara Sambhava actually has a very beautiful description, usage of metaphors. And it is blended with a very deep narrative style, very attractive narrative style. That is why it is known of. Manohi durgatam rogam shreyasaha parihapaye marasa sukha dukkhapyam bhave sarva dridhavrataha. This is from Mahabharata. It says, for indeed the ailment that is in the mind is hard to cure. Yes. So that was also accepted, that it is difficult to cure mental illnesses or mental problems. But one should always endeavor to avoid mental distress and seek happiness through control of mind. So this is again a red flag. Is it not giving a warning to the public saying, yes, you can end up with mental disabilities, mental problems, but if you can control your emotions, if you can control your senses, then you will not be having this fate. Right? And where is this given? Mahabharata. See. And that's why I told you we use all these in psychology. Can you tell me, yes, at this juncture I can ask you one question. What is the difference between the modern psychology and the psychology mentioned here? You have all studied Mansarovar, right? Yes. Huh? karma involvement is mentioned. But yeah, okay. I just want one major difference between the modern psychology and Ayurveda. Not Ayurveda, Indian psychology. One major difference. And that stands apart. The modern psychology always empowers what? Your body, you, yourself, your ego. It's all about boosting your ego. Yes, at some point of time, because of some emotions, that is required. That is even told in our psychology. But giving over importance to yourself is what is there in modern psychology. If you say, if you feel it right, you have to bring in your identity. You have to show to the world that you are different. All these things come in modern psychology. But in our tradition, it is told to destroy our ego. We are told to become humble. It's the other way around. We have to bow down to our emotions. We have to bow down and correct our mistakes. You cannot change the situations outside. So all of this comes when this difference, that distinct difference is there, that self is not, ego is not to be nurtured. But there is some nurturing required at some stage, but that is temporary. That's also accepted in our Shastras. But in modern psychology, that concept is not there. You always boast of for your well-being, your betterment, you can do whatever you want. Just be, you be. So if nobody talks about Indriya Nigraha, that concept is not there at all. That's why they have concepts of what? In certain countries, you can even decide to kill yourself. Legally allowed. What's that called as? Yeah. So that is not, our Shastras are completely against that. Why is that? Because we think about dharma, we talk about karma, all these things are interlinked in our culture. That's the difference. Next, we talk about mental strength. So this, you can see some glimpses of Shastras or glimpses of verses which talk about mental health and control. Look at this. Yo natmanam jitam na vindati tasya sarvam durlabham bhavet. So it's talking about mental strength. If you don't have mental strength, or if you cannot control over your mind, if you cannot control your mind, you will find it difficult to control anything else. You yourself are not able to manage, which means you are not able to manage others. Shoulder where? Niti Shastra, Chanakya Niti. Chanakya Niti is again a guidelines or moral guidelines in our tradition, which was written by Chanakya Niti was written by Chanakya is a person. Sure, no? Chanakya is a person. Yeah. Other name for Chanakya is Kautilya. Very good. Or Vishnu Gupta. He was an Indian teacher, philosopher, economist, jurist, so many advisor, so many things combined together. And time period, can you tell? Very good. During the Maurya period. So even there it is told about mental strength. Yasyalonupatam buddhir tasyaham kulakshayam naharyasya parayanam nrityatatra na samshayaha. This is from Natya Shastra. See something which talks about the mental health in Natya Shastra. How important it is in. Imagine now, is this taught in Natya Shastra or anyone who is in theatre? Will they be taught about it? No. So it's told whose intellect wavers, whose mind is inclined towards the DPF lineage, such a person is not fit for dance. No doubt about it. Just imagine how profoundly they are stayed. So even if you want to dance, you need to have some mental strength and control is what it means. Understand? Yeah. So what, can you tell about Natya Shastra? Where it has come from? Who has written Natya Shastra? Bharata Muni. Very good. So Bharata Muni has written and how many verses in Natya Shastra? Again, 6,000 verses divided into 37 chapters. So there is theatre instructions, music, dance, aesthetics, and acting techniques. All these are very elaborately mentioned, and in between them, this is also interwoven. What about aspects of health? It said, therefore, the control of mind is described in Natya. Success is the result of practice. So when they are talking about practice, how important it is to practice before dance. This is accomplished by humans. It is not by gods for the success for the benefit of humans and not for the gods or demons. So we say, no, we didn't have grace, we didn't have that grace, we tried it. No. It is first your effort, how much effort you put in, and then the grace follows. That statement talks about it. See, Idatmano vashet tishte tadanyeti vashet bhave natmano vashamagache kaha kurvita param vashami. So a Shastra, see, look at the reference, it is Kama Sutra. So, what is Kama Sutra? It's a treatise textbook on human sexual behaviors. Even in such a textbook, what is it told about? What is talked about? Look at it. Just look at the paradox. One who has control over oneself can bring others under control as well. If one cannot control oneself, he cannot control others. Mano vai dharma sadhanam dharmaha param udahritaha tasmad dhiro mano vidvan bahubhihi sahacharibihi. From Mahabharata, it says, verily the mind is the means of achieving righteousness, which is considered supreme. Therefore, the wise and learned accompanied by others should control the mind. So this aspect is very different. Modern psychology doesn't talk about control of mind. They say express it. Yet at times, yes, it is required. But if you go doing that, if you train your mind to express, your body will be in express. You will not later on have the control, you will not be able to do anything. Understand? Yeah. Yasyasti dhairyam sahasa avinashinaha pashyanti loke tivironmukha tamaha ya sthapayet atmani tam Janaha Sada Na Labdhan Iti Avapaha Bhavas Svataha. This is from Naishadhiya Charita. I talked about Naishadhiya Charita, right? Yeah. So one who possesses unbreakable courage and sees the emerging darkness of the world, who maintains this courage within himself, never succumbs to fear. So whatever happens outside, you will be strong. And again from Chanakya Nidhi, Vacha samyamya tirthani charatyeva cha sarvada. Person should control his speech. For in control over speech lies self-control, and with self-control comes mental peace. We talk about, Amma always talks about a gap between the word and the action. If you just maintain some gap between the word that you have spoken and the action, then in that gap, there is a light that fills in, wherein you realize, oh, what am I saying? Something has happened in front of you. Just don't react immediately. Just give a pause. And then try to speak about it. In that gap, something will come. That light will emerge wherein you will know what is happening. So give that, at least that time for you to respond. And that will change a lot. That is what this same thing is told. Have control over speech. Such a profound statement in Chanakya Nidhi. Again, Kama Sutra says, Sukha se moolam dhanu. See, look, what is the context, what is the textbook it is speaking, and look at the statement it is making. Sukhasya moolam dharma, dharmasya moolam arthaha, arthasya moolam rajaha, rajasya moolam indriya vijayaha. So the root of happiness is, again, it is talking about happiness, the extreme happiness that a human mankind can think of is sexual happiness, right? And even in that, it is talked about self-control of indriyas. That is the profound richness that we have in our culture. Ati Trishnana Kartavya Trishna Naiva Paritaje Shanaihi Shanaishcha Bhoktavyam Swayam Vittam Upajitam. This is from Subhashita. Subhashita, what do you mean by Subhashita? Is Subhashita a book? Yes, Subhashita Sangra is a book. But it is a compilation from various other textbooks which have become famous. Okay, people have talked about it and it has become colloquial. In different places, different Subhashitas can emerge. So they are mainly proverbs, maxims and all. Even that talks about. So our Shastra was never against, see, even if we talk about mental control, controlling the indriya and all, it was never against enjoyment. Extreme yearning should be avoided. Dharma, artha is told. You can have artha. Nobody is denying you to have artha. But one should steadily enjoy self-earned wealth in moderation is what is mentioned. Shanaihi Shanaihi Bhoktavyam, not all at once without any control. That's told in Subhashita. And again, Papaihi Saha Vasopi Na Kartavyo Na Hi Taisaha. Avoid the company of those. So how can you do that? How can you have control over your senses? When you're always indulging in this, always entangled with people who are always, guiding you wrong, then you can fall prey to it because the mind is not that strong. So what? It's saying avoid the company of those who constantly engage in negative talk and actions. Such a company can disturb the mind and cause stress. Giving you a warning of how you can control, what to be avoided. Manohi durgatam rogaha sreyasaha parihapaye manasaha sukha dukkabhyam bhavet sarga vidavritta. Indeed, the ailment that is in the mind is difficult. This I think I told you before also, right? I mentioned this. Tadayajnam bahirshi prokshe samidham kritena sam devana yasya jivanti praninaha sarve nirodhihi. This is from Rigveda. That is why it is a bit difficult to read. The shloka is not that easy. It says, I shall pour the oblation into the fire, the offering mixed with ghee and barhis. Barhis is the offering that we make to the yajna. For the God lives by it, restraint. So it is all about the intention. What intention? By which intention are you doing the yajna? That intention is all that reflects in the outcome of a yajna. There can be a satvika yajna, tamasika, rajasika yajna, tamasika yajna. You know that? So what intention you are doing that is what makes the difference. That's spoken even in Rigveda times. Highlights the importance of offering yajna with the focused and restrained mind. So it should not be deluded, it should not be with the deluded mind. Okay. So it indirectly suggests the mental control and balance that is required. And Rigveda, how many suktas it has? About 1,000 odd suktas. And Agni, Indra, Varuna, Soma, all of these devatas are, all these planetary, things are done puja in the Rigveda, and cosmology, nature, rituals, philosophical inquiries, all these are there. Even in that, such statements are made about health. And it is told that approximately it's in around 1500 BC to 1200 BC. In between that is the period of Rigveda, and it is still the oldest known textbook in any Indo-European language. Rigveda is the still known oldest text in any Indo-European language. Samadhina marasekam yacheta tat grahanam atmani yatha yatha dhiyaha samyam nranam yati satim yatha. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. By practicing devotion, service with a focused mind, one can gradually control the mind. So if you don't have control over your mind, there is a shortcut that is told. Do everything as an offering to God, as a devotion. Not for yourself. Do as for God's sake. Not for you, for God's sake. When that mentality comes, then even the nature helps you. Is what it's telling you. See, by practicing devotion, you get a focused mind. Because the mind is not coming under control, just leave it. Don't worry about it. But do things for others without your ego in between. That still things will fall in place. So such great principles are told here. See. And if you want to talk about inner peace and tranquility, Santosham yatra santyachya sukham nadi gamishyati santoshena vina kaschit kadana vardate sukhi. Where contentment is abandoned. See, what is contentment? In colloquial language, it is tripti. Is it not? When you have food, what you have? After having you get. That satisfaction is called as contentment. Will you ever get contentment when you are having anything that's tasty? Until unless it backfires you. You start vomiting or you don't have space. Until then you will eat. And that is the state of, because mind is not under control. So you have to realize that you are not going to have contentment at all with these sensual items. Contentment is something that has to come from within. That he told in a story which is known for, Kadambari is known for love. Still, yes. Manasa samyajam kilasmin prajam dharye vishwajana janya. This is from Atharva Veda. It says, with the mind, as the Yajna said, the whole world is operating. So it is all dependent on mind. It metaphorically suggests that the world is sustained by the power of the mind. So if you don't have the harmony, if there are no people with harmonious mind, then world can tremble. That is what we are seeing in our society now, is it not? Manasa prashama evaikam kritakrityam vadanti prashantam manasa yesham samprita sarva sangraha. This is from Yoga Vasishta. This reference we haven't seen, right? Yoga Vasishta. What is Yoga Vasishta? Again, from which stream or which Yoga Vasishta is mainly of which tradition? Yoga Vasishta. Advaitam. It is from Advaita philosophy. It talks about different aspects of life, consciousness, all of that. There are 6 prakaranas in that. And what? Which time period anyone can tell? 6th to 14th century. So the time period is uncertain about Yoga Vasishta, but still this from Advaita Darsana. So it is talking about the tranquility of mind. So the mental tranquility alone is said to be the fulfillment of endeavors. For those whose minds are serene, everything is accomplished. Nati Trishnam Shriyam Shayante Santoshinas Teshu Guneshu Riktaha Priyamanas Topi Manaha Prasadam Yatharjitam Tamna Parityajanti. This is from Kumarasambhava again. Those who have contentment. So we are talking about contentment in different aspects. Do not seek. So if you have content, you will be content with whatever you have. You will not go behind. You will not become greedy. Because greedy can change your mental stability. When you are greedy, you become angry, you are discontent, you are anxious, you are depressed. All of this comes from greed only. So to avoid greed, what we can have is contentment. Laye sambodhe chittam vikshiptam shamaye punaha sakashayam vijaniya sampraptam na chalaye. This is from Mandukya Upanishad. Such a beautiful statement. Laye sambodhe chittam vikshiptam shamaye punaha. So when the mind is in the state of dullness, I told you, stimulate it and awaken it. When the mind has gone sunken down, then stimulate it. I told you, you can give little bit importance to ego that night. When the awakened mind thus becomes turbulent, calm it down. Chittam vikshiptam chamaye punaha, again. In the process, recognize the dirt that surfaced. When the mind reaches a state of equanimity, don't disturb it further. Such a nice statement, right? So, how they dealt with mind, just imagine. This from Upanishad times, okay, Mandukya Upanishad. Anyone knows about Mandukya Upanishad? One small thing about Mandukya Upanishad, uniqueness of Mandukya Upanishad. Very good. It is the smallest. How many verses it contains? Just 12 verses. And even in that, it is known to be one among the Upanishad. That is the importance. Okay. Yogastha Guru Karmani. Again, one more statement from Bhagavad Gita. Karmani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya Siddha Siddhyo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Muchyate. Very profound, well-known shloka from Bhagavad Gita, which says, how can you become content is because you still stick on to the outcome. You expect something after doing something. That's because you have that feeling of your work. When you say it is the work of God, then you no longer belong. Or you no longer take the outcome of the action. You don't expect the outcome of the action. You just do that karma and then forget about it. Perform your duties with equipoised mind to Arjuna, abandoning the attachment. So you have the right to do the action. How the action has to be done is all under your control. But the outcome of the action is not at all there in your control. And Siddha Siddhyo Samo Bhutva. If you do it properly, that is what is called as yoga. Bhagyeshu khalu vastushu bhramataha sukham nasti yat sukhaya vidadhati manaswayam tat swayam hi sada bhavet tathava ythanya yapti parena ghatat tyapi chitta vrittihi. This is from Naishadhiya Charita. It says there is no happiness in wandering among the external love. Naishadhiya Charita is a textbook on, I told you, no? Huh? He spoke about Naishadhiya Charita. Just taking a feedback, okay? If your mind is here or not. It is a theatre. Is it related to drama? Yes. It's a textbook on drama. Yes. And there it is talking about, and that too is actually about worldly things. Nothing spiritual at all. But still you can find such statements. It says there is no happiness in wandering among the external objects. True happiness arises from within the mind itself. So the mind attains this state, it remains self-sufficient, or else it connects with another through mental states. So it keeps on wandering if you are not content. Once you are content, done. Then there is something called about self-awareness and growth. Tasmat sangam vihayenam satyam sampradi padyatam yatha mano krishikaanam samyoga tattvam vrityave. This is from Srimad Vagbhata Therefore, giving up all the attachment, one should take shelter in fruit. So, once you have realized that, there is a growth. So, this is a statement after attaining that. By understanding the connection of the mind with the senses, one time you can fall prey to mind, 2 times, 3 times, innumerable times. But after doing that, after some time you know, oh, this person is going to behave like this only. Right? After having that realization is what is known as growth. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. This is also a very famous statement, right? Manas is required for anything to do. If you want to do anything, you need to have manas. But if you have control over it, then bandhaya vishayam sanghi mukte nirvishayam smritam, which means that itself, manas is the reason for you to get entangled and for you to be free. Again, Yoga Vasishtha, we have spoken about Yoga Vasishtha. Mana eva hi samsaro, mana eva hi nirgunaha, mana eva hi samsara, samsara dharmamai swayam. Mind itself creates the world. So what mind is very tricky, it creates its own world around, and we fall prey to it. We become Kupa Manduka in that. And then we decide for ourselves that this is what is the world. But if you try to come out of it, try to control that mind itself makes you free from all the attitudes. The mind itself creates the world, and that's how you see. We say, the type of glasses that you wear, that's how you see. Manasa chintitam karyam vacha siddhyati naparam yatna siddha ye tat kriya kachit kaschit sampadite dhruvam. A task contemplated by the mind does not always succeed merely by speech. Mind may decide to do many things, but only when you put in effort in that direction do you actually achieve that. It says it's not enough. Yes, manas, you give that freedom to decide, but you also need to put in action towards it if it is right. Only then you can gain something out of it. Mano anantam chinteta samsara raghu murandhitaha. So this is from Purana. It says, when filled with infinite thoughts, becomes entangled in the cycle of worldly existence. So we talk about moksha, right? What do you mean by moksha? Which means going beyond. Sukha, dukkha, going beyond papa, punya, everything. Swarga, naraka, all these things are there, no? Even Swarga is from punya. When you go beyond that, only then you attain moksha. That is what causes that. When you don't even desire for Swarga, that is the state when you get moksha. So manas is the reason for all this. Yatha chittam yatha va tatha vacho yatha vachastata kriya. This is a very profound statement, everyone knows, right? How? As is the mind, so is the speech. As is the speech, so is the action. Nashakartu karyamargam prayoktum naiva karyamargaha. This is from Panchatantra. See, Panchatantra is for mainly for kids, stories, isn't it not? Even in that, such profound morals are given. One should not undertake a path which is harmful or abandon a path which is beneficial. So even in small age, if you are given such insights, then they will not forget it whole life. This is not. That is why you see, even Panchatantra is talking about it. Prajnayaha Swarnam Punah Tathayati Pratyutinam Paurusham Shastram Tu Gato Gatodyam Mo Api Nayati Yarthe Dhiya Vibhramam Tat Prajna Paripatitasya Sakalam Karmeshware Shishyate Tenayam Raghunandena Vijaya Sambhavyate Paurusha. This is first reference that we are getting from Mudra Rakshasa. What is this? Mudra Rakshasa. It is again a text on play, theatric play. It says the illumination of wisdom manifests heroic efforts, while even well-executed actions with weapons lead to confusion in undertaking without wise deliberation. Hence, all deeds guided by wisdom bring success, and thus victory is anticipated by prudent one. Which means, see, this is the central theme in which these plays were described. So even moral was always held on to. Dharma, moral, all of this was held on to, and for each person, for different states of people, different varieties of people, this was catered to differently. If you have interest for poetry, take it. If you have interest for theatre, use it. If you are even more, inclined to spirituality, okay, use Bhagavad Gita. For everyone, all options were there, and still it talked about health. Yathavastham syanti yantrani dehi tavasirahamana. This is from Garuda Purana. Mudra Rakshasa was a play from Vishakha Datta. Okay, Mudra Rakshasa was written by Vishakha Datta, and it revolves around the clever strategies employed by Chanakya during the Maurya Empire and the former Nalanda dynasty. So, to win over Rakshasa. So, why Mudra Rakshasa? Which means Rakshasa is of the mind. Yeah. It is a minister also, and yeah. And Garuda Purana, what do you mean by Garuda Purana? Can you tell one uniqueness of Garuda Purana? It talks about Ayurveda. What? Yeah, but yeah, after death. Mainly the rituals after death is told in Garuda Purana, and even our many things, many topics in Ayurveda are dealt in that. So that is why we also mention about Garuda Purana. And even in such just thing, let me read about something after death. Let me talk about, know about rituals that has to be done about after death. We do know Sardam and all. Even in that, such statements are made. As long as the organs remain intact in the body, the mind remains steady. So, until and unless the body is not disturbing you, to an extent the mind is also composed. Once you start pain in your leg, or you have some other problems, something like that, then your mind gets disturbed. Then you want something else. You find answers why, what is happening. So, keep your body healthy is the message here. But still, mind is affected there. And the last one, resilience and stability. Anirvedam cha buddhim cha nahi dhairena vina hani. So without perseverance and wisdom, there can be no loss of courage. This is about Chanakya Niti, from Chanakya Niti. Dhriti Shanti Kshama Satyam Dhiratvam Sthairya Marjavam Na Shokastasya Avakasho Atra Gunaha Kasya Kadachana. I think this I mentioned previously, this got repeated. Vayam hi yat kinchana chintayamo manushya shastrani yatharthaste nasman manaha kampayitum samartham kalopi pasheriva badhva yopi. This is again from Mudra Rakshasa, which means whatever we think and reflect upon in accordance with the scriptures of humanity, given time which binds with its nooses, it is not capable of disturbing the mind. Which means it is showing the strength of the empowered mind. If you have made a stern decision of doing something, even time will support you. Even the kala which is not under your control will support you, provided it is a positive thing, provided it is for the nature, provided it is for the others. Ashayaste dasaste dasaha sarva lokasya asha yesham dasa dasi tesham dasaste lokaha. This is a well-known Subhashita. It says people who are servants of desires are also servants of the world. So it is condemned. Don't be the servants of your desires. For those to whom desire is a servant, the whole world becomes servants to them. Dhiraha swayam atmanam samyamya shamam mrchati. Again, a wise man should be self-restrained and keep his mind free from desires and worldly attachments. Because that's the way to mental stability. Dhairyam hiyasya na bhavet sa katham sukhamapriyat manasa dhairyam ashritya dukham hi sukhamapriyat. How can one attain happiness without courage? By maintaining mental stability, only one can transform suffering into the happiness. So that is not in your hand. Outside things can change every moment. But if your mind starts changing according to the situations, then it becomes a problem. Maintain a stability of mind. So, finally, to conclude, I just want to make some statement. So the Indian knowledge systems have traditionally, you already know that by now. So Indian knowledge systems have traditionally prioritized mental and spiritual well-being, reflected in their extensive coverage of diverse topics. You can now see how many topics and how many textbooks these are mentioned. That too in non-medical texts. These texts historically served as tools for spreading. So these were methods of spreading the awareness among the people. Be it from any backgrounds, any classes, any philosophical beliefs. For everyone this was available. The ancient wisdom in the text remained a potent resource of modern mental health practices and should be made available in today's society. This is what is lacking. This is there. These knowledges are still documented, but still we don't make use of it. until now we had, our culture was that we had made use of, but now it has got depleted. So there is rich tradition and perspectives of Indian knowledge systems offer valuable insights into mental and spiritual health, essential for addressing current societal needs. So this is the required thing at this hour. So initiatives should be taken to disseminate these messages across all demographies, including different classes, regions. So be it anything, for any people, this knowledge should be made available again. So that is what we are trying with our project. And that was the effort. That was why this presentation itself was made for you. So promoting this knowledge can help reduce the disease burden by encouraging healthier thinking and fostering a more aware and balanced society. So with this, I conclude my presentation.